Imagine a world where nobody has a name. There's no way to identify different people, so you're stuck with nothing other than trying to describe. Imagine trying to tell someone else a story about two of your other friends and how confusing that would be, especially if both of your friends have the same color eyes, same color hair. You have no identifying features. Well, that's how it would be if we had no names. So it's very important that we're able to identify who a person is. Now, back in creation, God told Adam to name things in order to create that communication, to make it so that we can relate to other people and tell them our thoughts, our feelings, things we've experienced. So names are very important to God because it defines an authority or a position to define that importance. So when I use someone's name, I'm identifying them, and someone who's familiar with that person may know their occupation, they may know about their family members, they know what their personality is like. Right away, that name brings to mind so many other things than just that word of the person's name. So God gave several people in the Bible a name to correspond to something that's important. So he changed Abram to Abraham to mean the father of many. In Genesis 17:5, it says, "No longer will you be called Abram, your name will be Abraham, for I have made you a father of many nations." He changed Sarai's name to Sarah, which means princess. God also said to Abraham, this is in Genesis 17:15-16, As for Sarai, your wife, you are no longer to call her Sarai. Her name will be Sarah. I will bless her and will surely give you a son by her. I will bless her so that she will be the mother of nations. Kings of peoples will come from her. Then God changes Jacob's name to Israel when Jacob wrestled with God. And the man asked him, "What is your name?" "Jacob," he answered. Then the man said, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome." So a name is very important to God. We've got to be very mindful of the fact that that name is very important to God. And when God calls us by name and calls us into whatever it is that he is calling us to, our identity changes with that. So if you had known me, 10 years ago, I would have been known as Maggie, the girl who plays keyboard at church. And there is nothing wrong with that. That was my calling for that period of time. But now I'm known as Maggie, who does the videos on Keep Walking the Walk. That has changed my identity. It's changed who I am and how people identify who I am. Your calling will be the same way. When you step out into a new calling, people are going to start to say, "Oh, she or he is the one that does," and whatever it is that God has called you to do that you've stepped up to do. So we have to remember that. And we also have to remember that this is not new to us. When we entered into that relationship with Jesus Christ, we promised that he would be Lord of our life, that we would give our life to him. And because of that, we took on this new creation, this new identity, and we are now called something different. Before you were saved, you were just who you were. But now that you are saved, you are, and in my example, I am Maggie who belongs to Jesus Christ. You belong to Jesus Christ. That is part of your identity. And when people refer to who you are, that's part of what they're saying. So in 2 Corinthians 5:16-21, it says, "From now on, therefore, we regard no one according to the flesh." That means that old person that you are is gone. "Even though we once regarded Christ according to the flesh, we regard him thus no longer. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come." And what I'm trying to really pull out of here is that this happens at different levels throughout your walk with Christ. First, you're saved. You've got this new creation. Now you belong to Jesus Christ. And then you're called into a different area. And now that's a part of your identity too. Now you're so-and-so who is on the prayer team, or you're so-and-so who helps to balance the books at the church, or you're so-and-so who's involved in the church ministry. Your identity changes as you are called into different areas, just as it did with Abram, just as it did with Jacob. They went from Abram to Abraham. They went from Jacob to Israel. Sarai went from Sarai to Sarah, because they are stepping into that calling. And be aware of the magnitude of that. A name to God is very, very important. Your identity is very important. And when you step into that calling, your identity has changed. Have a wonderful day. God bless, and keep walking the walk.